Radio check loud and clear. Thank you everyone for tuning in and welcome along to the coverage here in Zandvoort on the coast of the Netherlands. It is great to be back. We've had a very long summer break and we are back with some Formula One action here. And yeah, can't wait for qualifying. 30 minutes till the start and just a standard qualifying session for today. Q1, Q2, Q3, 18 minutes, 15 minutes, and 12 minutes respectively. And we've had free practice 3 earlier today. And what a session it was. Lando Norris goes 1/10 slower than the lap record in Q3 itself. The rest of the competition is at least 8/10 of a second back. His fellow teammate was a quarter of a second back, Oscar Piastri. He has got some work to do. And looking at which teams were quickest down the straights, it was the Astons and Max Verstappen specifically. The Astons, I think they were running quite a high engine mode considering it was just practice, and Max Verstappen has opted for a qualifying oriented setup. At least that's what he had in FP3. That some decisions may have been made after the fact between FP3 and QUALI, but as of the last time he was on track, he had a qualifying oriented setup and was trying to just get pole position, and then he's going to plan to hold on to the lead of the race for 72 laps on Sunday. So we'll see how that works out for Max, but yeah, you just look at those times. That is 9.5 tenths is the gap between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. Huge, absolutely huge. So I guess we'll see how that works out for him, who ends up on pole, who doesn't. But yeah, George Russell put together a pretty good lap, but still quite a ways off. And the McLaren were just gaining so much time in the first sector. You know, that they were up half a second on the first sector alone. It was kind of mind-blowing, to be honest. And yeah, we'll see if any of the other teams can compete, any of the other drivers can compete. The Astons that were looking really good yesterday have dropped a little bit further back. They're now down into 8th and 10th position. And the Williams that weren't looking so good yesterday, they've come back and they're delivering quite well, quite handily. 4th and 7th position for Sainz and Alex Albon. The smooth operator having a pretty nice day today, and he'll be looking to get ahead of Albon in qualifying. He's been struggling a little bit in terms of the points front, and yeah, would just be good for him to get on a run of good form again. The Williams haven't had the best couple of previous races. Alright, it is qualifying right now. Yes, currently up on the screen we have got the free practice 3 data. Once we are around 15 minutes or so away from the start of quali, we'll get the qualifying data coming through. But let's have a look at the Constructors' Championship, shall we here? We have got McLaren up there with 559 points. What a points lead they have over everyone else. Simply, I mean, yeah, no one else can really compete, to be totally honest with you. Ferrari, second place, 260 points for them. They have got 5 podiums to their name, not a single win just yet. Mercedes have got 1 win, 7 podiums to their name, but they are further behind in the Constructors because their driver's just not as consistent. The car not as consistent either, and Antonelli not delivering the same level of performance that Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton are consistently delivering. Same issues down there at Red Bull. Max Verstappen delivering a bunch of points. Yuki Tsunoda or Liam Lawson not doing so much, and that's why Red Bull are 4th, and it looks to be that they're going to be set to be in 4th position unless something magical turns around and they gain a bunch of pace. But for now, 4th position seems to be set for the Red Bull team. Second place is still up for contest between the Ferraris and Mercedes, and maybe we'll see a 1 or 2 more upgrade packages between the two to potentially secure that second place. However, this weekend we've had a distinct lack of upgrades. Typically after the summer break, we do get quite a few upgrades coming in from the teams, but given that 2026 we're going to have the brand new regulations, all of the teams are focused on 2026, and we've got minor brake duct tweaks for the Alpine team, minor brake duct tweaks for Racing Bulls, and I think Red Bull have an ever so slightly tweaked front wing, but apart from that, everyone else has got the exact same car that they had in Hungary. They're all running relatively high downforce levels as well, because in Hungary you need downforce, in Zandvoort you also do need downforce. It was raining a little bit earlier on in the day. We did have a slightly damp start to FP3. Some drivers went out on intermediate tyres, but as of right now the sun has come out, the circuit has dried up, and we'll be having a dry qualifying session. And by the looks of it, the dry qualifying session will also be breaking the lap record, with Lando Norris only being a 10th off in FP3. I have a feeling that we might even dip into the 1 minute 7s around here in Zandvoort. Okay. Here we go. F1 Gamer, my quali predictions. I, ooh, I think that Norris is going to outqualify Piastri on this one. I don't know. I mean, I would sort of believe in Piastri a little bit more. I think I don't really know actually. It's just a little bit too close to call, to be honest. Tough to say, tough to say. But I do think that we are going to get a Aston Martin up in the top 5. That is one of my predictions. All right. Afternoon, Drop Dead Hero. Hello, Shivanash. Hello, Shoria. Traffic is a major problem. Indeed, it is. Traffic is a major problem on the circuit. It's only 4.3 kilometers long, and when you have got 20 cars on the circuit, that is around 200 meters for these cars. The problem is when you're going at 200 miles an hour, that you cover 200 meters in the space of about 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second. So yeah, the drivers do have to be very, very cautious, very aware of their surroundings. And as Jolyon Palmer once said, on a street circuit, you always have to be alert. And, well, Zandvoort isn't a street circuit, it is a purpose-built racetrack, but it is very, very narrow, very similar to a street circuit. In fact, Max Verstappen said that he sort of said in a press conference, and he was addressing the head of the FIA, Stefano Domenicali, and said, don't get rid of Zandvoort and just add another boring street circuit. But Zandvoort is going away. This is the last year, I think, that Zandvoort is on the Formula One contract, and maybe it's still on for next year. I can't remember exactly, but definitely in 2028 or 2027, we are not racing in Zandvoort because Formula One requests Zandvoort to provide them, it's a ridiculous sum of money, multiple tens of millions to host a race at Zandvoort, and the problem is the tickets just get more and more expensive. And the thing is, when you're in Europe, right? So let's imagine you're in the Netherlands, you're a Dutch fan, you want to watch Max Verstappen in a Formula 1 race. Oh, let's just go to Zandvoort. The tickets are 300, 400 euros just for race day. And it's like, well, I could do that, or I could drive to Belgium. And because Netherlands isn't that big, all the fans just drive to Belgium. They go watch the race in Spa for 40 euros for the ticket, and then they drive back home to the Netherlands. Like, it doesn't make that much sense to be charging extraordinarily high prices when all of the fans who want to watch the race can just drive to Belgium or drive to Italy or fly to Italy. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, and I would like to see Zandvoort still on the calendar. Well, this race has got the record of the most overtakes in F1 history, 186 on-track overtakes. If you guys were listening to the FP1 free practice streams, then you'll know which race I'm talking about. But there was a race in recent history here in Zandvoort that had 186 overtakes. Max Verstappen had 7 pit stops and still won the race. And what a mega race it was. All right, do you think Max will have a good race in his home Grand Prix? Well, you'd like to think that at his home Grand Prix he does well, and the car's just not really underneath him. I was looking at some of the onboards. It was understeering like an absolute boat. He was having to stab at the steering wheel to get the car to turn in, and even then it wouldn't bite. So, pretty big problems there for Max. They have done some changes. They will have done some changes between FP3 and QUALI to hopefully try and fix that. Track temperature also will change a little bit, and wind conditions will also change. So maybe Max Verstappen can use that to his advantage. We know he has some other tricks in the book of giving his fellow rivals some slipstream. So on his pole lap, he'll get, or not pole lap, or in his final Q3 lap, he'll get a slipstream back to hopefully get in pole position. So he'll be trying every trick in the book. The McLaren drivers wouldn't have that luxury. Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri get sent out together most of the time, and they don't get a toe off each other. They spread themselves out, and it's each man's for themselves when it's the two McLaren drivers. But Max Verstappen, he plays the team game with some other drivers. So let's say if Alonso gets into Q3, Verstappen will give Alonso a toe in his first run of Q3, and then as a return favour, Alonso knows that he's not going to be fighting for pole position. He'll give Max a toe on the way back on the second run of Q3. Why is it a yellow flag? It's just at the end of the session they were, I don't know, they were just checking the systems, I'm guessing. That's normally what they do here in Zandvoort. We've had it at the end of FP1, FP2 and FP3, yellow flags deployed once all the cars are back into the circuit. All right, Will we have a wet quali? No, it will be most likely a dry qualifying session. It rained earlier in the day, but that rain has, yeah, it's no longer going to fall because it's dried up. All right. Feels like Lando Gier. Maybe it is Lando Gier. Maybe he's gonna. Well, he's currently 9 points back in the drivers' championship. Let's have a look at that. So Oscar Piastri 287 points, Lando Norris 275 points. He is 9 points back. Max Verstappen quite a ways back. And in fact, if George Russell gets a couple of good races, then George Russell might actually get third place in the constructors. I mean, Max, I know for a fact that he doesn't care if he gets third or fourth in the constructors, but I guess we'll see what happens. And yeah, Charles Leclerc as well, 151 points to his name. He's outscored Lewis Hamilton quite significantly, in fact. Hamilton was looking quite good, actually, at the start of free practice 3, but then that pace sort of fell off, and he was half a second down on Charles Leclerc on the final Q3 sims, or FP3 sims. So yeah, we'll see if he can make that pace back, and hopefully he doesn't get eliminated out of Q1. Antonelli as well, struggling quite a bit compared to George Russell. Russell up in 3rd, Antonelli in 17th. So, yeah, Antonelli got a lot of work to do. He's never driven at the circuit before. Same thing for a lot of the rookies. Zandvoort isn't on the Formula 2 calendar, it isn't on the Formula 3 calendar, and unless, you specifically came out here to do testing or something, then you never will have driven at this circuit before. So these drivers will have done some racing and iRacing and on some simulators, but nothing compares to the real life thing. So they will have to, well, they are very quick learners. They've done some quick learning, and they've got to put that into practice now. Okay. F1 Gamer, I think Carlos is doing better at Williams. What do you think if in 2026 they do a V8 hybrid, like 30 to 40% electric and V8 maximum 100 kg and for smaller cars? Well, this is the thing. We want, what's the VPN for this race? You can use SRF actually, or ORF. Let me just put it up on the screen. You can use the Austrian VPN server, an ORF, or the Swiss VPN server, an SRF, whichever one works for you better. Yeah, there's a link in the description to Surfshark if you guys are interested. What was I going to say? V8s and hybrids and smaller cars. I mean, that's the thing. Everyone wants good sounding engines, loud engines, smaller cars, less dirty air, more overtaking. So yeah, I think that could work, couldn't it? How is quali this early? I think it's just dependent on the Netherlands time zones, and they want to do some other racing as well. I think they had F1 Academy here, and I think they also had Porsche Super Cup. I'm not 100% sure, but there's just some scheduling conflicts. I'm assuming that's why it's a little bit earlier on. Okay. 11k subs to face reveal. Yeah, folks, if you haven't hit the like button, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel and the YouTube algorithm. We haven't been streaming for a month, so the algorithm has sort of forgotten about the channel, really. So yeah, be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, look forward to commentating to you guys for qualifying, which is going to get underway very, very soon. We are 16 minutes away now from the start of the session. Very nice. Put a poll about the loudness rule. I mean, I think I'll do that later on the community posts. Let me get rid of this, and I'll take you through a lap of the Zandvoort circuit, in fact, shall we? Here we go. All right, let's bring this up here. So we've got the Zandvoort circuit here. When you're doing your flying lap, the main thing really is to get a good run out of turn number 13 and turn number 14. You're flat through 14. It's just really turn number 13. Go as wide as you can all over the apex on the left. It can gain you a bunch of lap time as you accelerate down the main straight in towards turn number 1. So you've got DRS open here, 8th gear, accelerating up to 200 miles per hour, so 320 k's. Onto the brakes at the 80 meter mark. You can miss the apex at turn 1, just carry as much speed as you possibly can, and then you go. This circuit is very much like a roller coaster. Up the hill, over the crest, down the hill you go, and then go run it all the way out wide on the banking of turn number 3. And then you go up the hill, now down the hill again, and then back up the hill for turns number 5 and 6. And then turn number 7 here, tap the brakes, flick the car in, hope it sticks. And then turn number 8 again, another one of those flick corners. Now turn number 9, braking and turning at the same time. Antonelli actually locked up and crashed here in FP1. We'll see if any other drivers make some mistakes or lockups. Hamilton spun there as well at turn number 9. Smooth exit for turn number 10. You want to get a late apex so you can get onto the power nice and early. And then turn number 11 here, this is the main thing. You can hit the apex, but you don't want to run all the way over to the left hand side here. You want to stay slightly to the right of the racing line, because it will give you a better entry into turn number 12, and a better entry to turn number 12 is always handy, isn't it? Because then you get a nicer run onto 13, and it gives you a nicer entry onto your start-finish straight run. The F1 cars sound like vacuum cleaners again. I don't think they will, because basically we have the MGU-H and the MGU-K currently in the Formula 1 cars, and what they're doing is they're getting rid of one of them. I think it's the MGU-K that they're getting rid of, or they're getting rid of one of them, and the one that they're getting rid of contributes a lot to the terrible noise of the cars. So hopefully that removes, that makes the cars sound a little bit better. Another idea that I sort of came up with was that what the teams could do is, or what the FIA could do is, currently what the problem is during qualifying, the reason why teams don't go up higher than 12,000, 13,000 RPM is because they don't have enough fuel. They're not allowed to pump enough fuel into the engine to actually rise up to 14, 15,000 RPM and for it to actually be efficient and worthwhile. So I thought maybe just in qualifying, the teams are allowed to use as much fuel as they want, right? They can shove as much fuel into the engine as they physically want, and that will allow the RPMs to rise up to 15,000, 16,000, 17,000, and the cars start screaming like the V10s. And I think, even if it's just for qualifying, that would be totally awesome. Yeah, I don't really see any sort of issue. You know, still in the race, your car is efficient, and you can hit all your emissions targets and whatever other stuff you want to do. But for like the greenness of Formula 1, but during qualifying, allow the cars to go up to 18,000 RPM, allow them to scream like crazy. That would be pretty nice. That's if the motor can keep up to 17k RPM. Yes, that is true. But the thing is, if they say for the 2026 regulations, oh yeah, you're allowed to go up to this many RPM, then all the engineers will design the engine with that in mind. Like if you take the current engines and say, oh, go to 17,000 RPM, they will most definitely explode. But because they weren't designed for that. But if you say for the 2026 regs, oh yeah, the engines can go up to 17,000 RPM, then I'm sure the engineers will take that into account. What's my favorite track? Probably either Suzuka or Interlagos. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's get back to the current action that we're going to have in about 12 minutes' time when we've got the drivers out onto the circuit. So let me get rid of the FP3 times, and then we'll get the qualifying times up on the screen. There we go. All right, quali times. The risk of rain is 10%, ladies and gentlemen. 10% risk of rain. Here we go. In Zandvoort, and the winds. Oh my God, the winds have picked up again. 17 kilometers per hour. Okay, so just to show you on the circuit, we have got a little compass there, and the wind is blowing from the southwesterly direction, so it's coming across the circuit like this. And essentially what it's doing is give the drivers a tailwind into here, so it makes it quite easy to actually sort of lock up, because you have a little bit less grip than you expect. We saw Verstappen lock up yesterday, we saw Albon also lock up, but then on the flip side, when you do the 180-degree turn and you're accelerating out of here, you get a bunch of a headwind, and you can get onto the power super duper early. It sort of demands that you take a different line. You constantly think about, the wind is going to be blowing from this direction, what can I do to take advantage of that? And the drivers that get up on pole position, the drivers that outperform their car, they'll be using every single trick in the book to try and extract the pace out of there. Are the radio messages going to work? I can't tell you for certain. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It's totally up to the FIA, really. The FIA sometimes manage to figure stuff out, sometimes they don't. So I hope they do. Yeah. My favourite turn in Zandvoort is turn 3. What's your favourite turn? Well, I've probably got to say, turn number 8. Actually, turn number 8. You tap the brakes, flick the car to the right, and then you're again braking for the next sequence of corners. So technically, I'd say turn 8, but just the next following sequence of corners is quite nice. Turn number 3 though is really nice. You've got this huge banking. The drivers don't even go anywhere near the inside of the apex because the banking actually helps you turn and steer so much. It's incredible. All right, folks, if you haven't hit the like button, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel, and hopefully we can make our way towards 3,000 likes. And yeah, I don't know if I mentioned, but we'll be doing a face reveal at 200k. It says there at the top right of the screen. I probably should have made it a little bit bigger and bolder or something, but yeah, face reveal at 200k. Yeah, be sure to subscribe. When are they starting? In 9 minutes' time, folks. 9 minutes' time. What turns are the most prone to crashes here? I would probably say turns number 9 and 10. Firstly, because Zandvoort is a very circuit that is dominated by right-hand corners. Okay, so let's have a look. You know, these high-speed corners that really hurt your tyres. You've got turn number 1 here, reasonably high speed. Then turns number 6, 7, 8, 9. They're all right-hand corners, and they take so much life out of your tyres, especially by the time you reach turn number 9. Very easy to lock up because your front left has just started overheating from 7, then 8, then 9. So real big problem there. You make your way through 10 and 11. 11 very easy to lock up, and there's a gravel trap, in fact. So let me just bring up the onboard. There's a gravel trap right there waiting for you. Where is it? Yeah, so here we are. And if you lock up at this point, you're straight into the gravel trap. Sonoda went into the gravel trap yesterday at this corner, and we've got a lot of drivers sort of have a little excursion over the gravel trap as well, just because they missed their braking point, and yeah, ruins their lap, brings a bunch of gravel onto the circuit, brings out the yellow flags, ruins the drivers behind theirs lap as well. So yeah, turn number 11 also very easy to crash. Yeah, all right, let's move this to there. Okay, what else have we got going then? Not too much else. Gravel trap causes much chaos. Indeed it does. You know, this is a circuit that's very similar to the likes of Suzuka and Imola. It's very narrow. It's got a lot of grass and gravel traps and painted white lines, not a lot of curbs. So it is all down to the drivers to be as precise as they possibly can. We saw Hamilton, in fact, on the entry to turn number 9, entry to 10 on the exit of 9. Let's pull up the onboard again. Why not? Yeah, so here we go so this is turn number 8 here, and then you go into turn number 9, and this is where Hamilton crashed. So he hit the apex here, understeered quite a bit, touched the gravel there on the touched the grass, sorry, on the left-hand side there, and when he touched the grass, just spun around totally, because, yeah, the car understeered there. He wasn't really expecting to be on the grass, but yeah, things happen. You know, you've not got much margin for error, and when you've got a car that isn't really doing what you want, like Lewis Hamilton does have in that Ferrari, then mistakes are bound to happen. We all want an Alonso pole, right? Well, you know, Alonso pole would be fantastic. I'd love to see Williams up there as well. You know, Williams are looking a little bit stronger than the Astons were, and you know, I'm not so certain that I actually believe in the Aston Martin pace, because I have a feeling that they were running a slightly higher engine mode than everyone else in practice. Their top speeds were just looking a little bit too quick, so we'll see if their pace translates over. You know, I obviously hope that they make it through into Q3, but I'm a little bit skeptical. Okay. I think the most unforgiving bit of Zandvoort is turn 3. Yeah, Stroll crashed there at turn number 3 yesterday. And yeah, the going into turn number 3, I mean, I think this onboard is turning out to be pretty handy, hasn't it, actually? Let's bring it up. Right. Here we go. Turn number 3. So this is the exit turn number 1. And then what happens is you go over this crest here. So, and then you're going over this crest, the rear of the car goes a little bit light, and then you have to start immediately hitting the brakes for turn number 3. And firstly, you can lose the rear of the car like I've just done there on the sim, and if you brake a little bit too harshly while your car's a little bit light going over the crest, you lock up, you go straight into the barriers. It's exactly what Stroll did, and yeah, he came over the radio, said the car just didn't turn, and yeah, the reason it didn't turn, Stroll, was because your tyres were locked. So you got to be very, very careful there. All right. What else have we got going on here? F1 Gamer, any info on the McLaren being super low? Well, unfortunately, McLaren definitely aren't going to be releasing that information. You know, if they by accident set the car up a little bit too low, they're not going to be admitting it to the press, saying, "Oh yeah, we made a mistake," when they could just not admit the mistake to the press. So yeah. I think McLaren probably will have found that they ran the car a little bit too low. The car was scraping a lot compared to everyone else when they were going through turn number 1 and all of these banked corners. So yeah, I think McLaren will probably raise their ride heights ever so slightly, and that will reduce their pace. Because, you know, that's how Charles Leclerc got pole in Hungary. You know, admittedly, it was an amazing lap, but also Ferrari set up the car just a little bit too low, and that extracted so much pace, untapped pace that the Ferrari had by setting the car a millimeter or two lower to the ground. So yeah, if McLaren find out that they set the car too close to the ground, they're going to have to increase the ride height, and they're going to lose performance. So we should be in for a closer fight for pole position. Okay. F1 Gamer, any news on how the wind might affect today's quali? Well, in fact, I had a message from someone that was in the Netherlands, or a comment, in fact. They basically said that people don't... Well, I'll, in fact, read the comment. GiveMan2004, type this on the FP3 stream. People don't understand how windy the coast of Holland is. I was riding my motorbike near Rotterdam yesterday and was nearly blown into the sea. The bridges are dangerous and have runoff zones for lorries being blown about. That is how intense the wind is in the Netherlands, and Zandvoort is right on the coast. Genuinely, if you walk 200 meters away from the circuit, you're at the beach. So you're right next to the ocean. There's so much wind blowing about, and it has a huge effect on downforce levels, grip levels, and yeah, so for the whole weekend, the wind has been blowing from the southwesterly direction. It's been blowing from the bottom left of the circuit up towards the top right. So, yeah, the drivers that take advantage of that know that the wind is blowing in their favour, and they're going to get on the power a little bit early. They'll be, you know, outperforming the car and getting up there. The other teams that won't, the other drivers that don't take that into account, they're going to be getting knocked out. So we shall see. Thoughts on Kimi? Well, my thoughts on Kimi Antonelli are that, you know, he has shown glimpses of brilliance, but again, he just needs to get his head down and carry on improving. I think the rate of improvement that we saw from Piastri in his first season of Formula One is something that these current rookies have not matched. Maybe Isaac Hadjar has, but apart from that, the level of knowledge gain and the level of pace increase that we saw from Piastri ever so consistently on his first season in Formula One is something that these current rookies are yet to match. And this is why Piastri is up there fighting for the championship. He is the championship leader, in fact, because of his rate of improvement, the fact that he doesn't make mistakes again and he learns from his mistakes, and yeah, he's just improving and improving and improving. That's some of these rookies need to get a hang of that, and yeah, then they'll be up there fighting at the top. Andrew, thanks for the donation. Let's go, Yuki. Yeah, let's see what Yuki can do. He was 4/10 off the back of Max Verstappen at the end of FP3, so he's still got some work to do. But given that now he's got a little bit more of an equivalent setup to Max Verstappen's car, that should help him out, and that should close the gap up a little bit, and hopefully he can make it through into Q3. All right. Here we go then, folks. 2 minutes time, and we'll be getting underway for qualifying. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and yeah, hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. What else is there to talk about? Oh yeah, I released merch. There's a bunch of these designs here that I've sort of come up with. The link is in the description. Oh, maybe I forgot to put it in the description, but either way, it's slipstream.clothing or www.slipstream.clothing. If you guys like the designs, think that they might be cool, then go ahead, check them out. But the t-shirts and the hoodies are all super high quality, like 100% cotton for all the t-shirts and stuff. So if you guys are interested, check that out. The prices are all on discount. They're all on discount till the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So for the first month or so, they're on a discount. And then the prices will go up. So yeah. All right, that's the end of that. Einswald Liz, thanks for the upgrading the membership to Podium Finish. That's really does help out the channel. Will you stream the race tomorrow? Indeed, I will, folks. Indeed, I will. And this qualifying as well is going to be pretty important. You know, there is definitely chances for overtaking around this circuit, but quite often we've seen, at least in the first stint or so, the top 5, top 4 drivers stay in the exact same position after the opening lap, because in the opening stint there isn't that much that happens, but then in the second stint and the third stint, when all the tyre strategy comes into play, that's when we get loads of chaos and overtaking. So qualifying is still pretty important around this circuit, and we'll see what can be done. But 35 seconds now till we get underway, and the green light is out for quali. Weather report, it is nice and sunny, it is very windy, but we have got blue skies, not really many clouds in sight, and the rain that had fallen earlier in the day has all evaporated. The circuit is totally dry. There is 1 free practice session's worth of rubber on the circuit, which means that we're going to be getting a lot of track evolution. Typically, you know, we have 3 practice sessions worth of rubber deposited, and then by the time we get to quali, there isn't much improvement of the circuit. But because free practice 1 and free practice 2, we got rubber deposited, and then it all got washed away by the rain that fell this morning, and that means we only have one practice sessions worth of rubber on the track, which means a lot of track evolution. So the drivers that go right at the end of the session, right at the tail end of quali, they're going to have the best possible conditions to do a lap. All right then, so here we go. We have got drivers out onto the circuit. Yuki Tsunoda, a surprising driver to come out first. Normally we get some of the lower teams coming out, but Tsunoda's out first, then Ocon, then Gasly, and the team radios are working, which is fantastic. Behrman makes his way out as well. Leclerc and Hamilton coming out nice and early as well. That is interesting to see. I wouldn't have expected them to be coming out so early, but Ferrari things, shall we say? Ferrari things. All right, let's get underway for quali then. F1 Gamer, is shipping available to India? Unfortunately, no, shipping isn't available to every single country in the world. India has some issues with customs and import taxes and stuff, so I'm still getting all of that figured out, and once that's figured out, I'll ship to India, but as of right now, it will, if your country doesn't come up in the delivery options, then unfortunately I cannot ship to that country. But yeah, let me know what you think. And if you've got any ideas, I haven't done all of the drivers just yet. I will be doing, you know, Piastri and Norris. Who else am I missing? I think Alonso as well. But I'll get all of the drivers done shortly. But, you know, if you're a Max fan or a Charles Leclerc fan, then the designs are already up there. Okay. Here we go then, folks, and just a quick reminder, if you do want to watch the Formula 1 coverage, it's $2 a month. You get Surfshark VPN using the link in the description. You join a Swiss VPN server, you search SRF, and then you enjoy. That's how I'm watching Formula 1 right now. I'm watching the qualifying up on my second laptop using Surfshark VPN, so yeah, go ahead and check it out. You can use the Austrian VPN and ORF, or a Swiss VPN and SRF. Okay. But that is that, and now it is all out qualifying. Yuki Tsunoda is on his flying lap. What can he do? Stroll gets out of the way nicely. Very narrow circuit. This is the other thing here, folks. The circuit is only 4.3 kilometers long, and we've got 20 cars on the track. That means only around 200 meters or so per car, and yeah, that's quite a tight situation for all of the drivers to be driving around and staying off the racing line for drivers on fast laps. So watch out. We may be getting some grid penalties if the engineers are not on their top game. Ocon's engineers just come over the radio saying the wind's a little bit gustier, so the drivers do have to be careful of that. Sudden losses of grip or sudden increases in grip could be affecting them. But here comes Yuki Tsunoda, the first driver to come across the line. Well, currently he's at turn number 13, then turn number 14, and here he comes, foot flat to the floor, DRS wide open, nice early DRS zone here as well in Zandvoort, across the line of 1 minute 10.6, that is quite slow actually, quite a bit slow, than what the McLarens are doing. At least Lando Norris did a 1:08.9 in FP3, so still about 2 seconds of pace to improve there for Tsunoda and for a lot of the drivers as well. ORF keep crashing for me. Well, if you can definitely use SRF. I think SRF is a little bit less crashy. Just Swiss VPN server, so Zurich, I think, and then SRF, yeah. Anyway, Behrman is up to the top of the time, so we've got 14 minutes left on the clock. 4 minutes have already taken place, and Verstappen makes his way out onto the circuit as well. Soon we'll be getting the big guns of the Mercedes and the McLaren out onto the track as well. Here comes Charles Leclerc. What can he do? So good, so far so good for Charles Leclerc. It's second position for him. He is 3.5 tenths back from Ollie Behrman, so clearly not pushing too hard, but he's got some work to do because there's no way that the Haas car is going to be back. F1 Gamer, do a greatest rookie of all time for Alonso. Okay, yeah, I will do. Just don't spam it in the chat. That would very much be appreciated. Hamilton goes top of the times, 4 tenths quicker than Charles Leclerc. Oh no, yellow. Who is that? Stroll, turn number 13. There's a gravel trap there. Has Stroll found himself in the gravel trap? Is he still moving? Yes, he is. He has unbeached his car. Good job there from Stroll. I don't know if he's just deposited a front wing on the circuit, but Stroll locks his brakes, I think, going into turn number 13, and they might need to do a front wing change there for Stroll. The suspension seems to be all right. The steering rod seems to be fine. And yes, his front right part of his wing, his front wing is broken. But apart from that, all good. They're going to need a quick change of tyres as well. But that could have been very nasty, and that could have been the first red flag of the session. But Stroll makes it out without too many major issues. Okay. All right, 10,000 people tuned in. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Very much do appreciate all the support. All right, let's see. Who's on a flying lap now? Max Verstappen is starting a flying lap. What can he do? It's, in fact, just Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. I think they're doing 2 laps, actually. So they did one. Now they're going to just cool down lap and then a push lap again. So that's, I think, the strategy for Ferrari. So they're 2 laps worth of fuel in the car. So a little bit more pace for the Ferraris to extract, I think. Oh, no. Leclerc's into the pits. Oh no, apologies. That was a mistake there. Ferrari's only had 1 lap's worth of fuel in the car, and they're coming back into the pits now. But Mercedes are coming out into the circuit. I think the McLaren's also coming out. And let's go on board with Max here. Purple in the first sector. Really nice job from Max so far in the first sector. And now what can he put together in the middle sector? The car is complying with him a little better. You know, still small hints of the car dancing out under traction, but he's able to keep it under control, and purple in the middle sector as well, looking good. 23.9 and a 24.6 from Max so far, and now turn number 13 and 14 remain. What can he do? What can he put together in that Red Bull? Hasn't been so quick this season. He said it's going to be a struggle to get up into the top 5 in qualifying. Across the line he comes. It's first position, and it is a 109.754. So he is, he is a 10th off last year's pole time, but he's still got some improving to do. All right. What else have we got going on then? Here comes the Mercs. Yeah, the Mercs will be starting their flying laps as well. Stroll, of course, got his lap time deleted for when he went off into the gravel. That's fair enough. Hello, Carlos Sainz. Nice to see that you're in the chat. And hello, OG Ninja, and everyone in the chat. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to read all of your names, but... Oh, Stroll dipped a wheel off into the grass. I'll just show you exactly what Stroll did. In fact, I would describe that as a rookie mistake, really, from Stroll. But what can you really expect? I'll show you. Right, here we go. Yes, so you're going into turn number 13, and this is what he did. He was, in fact... So you make your way through turn number 12 here, and then you continue on. And just as he's braking for this, at the 50-meter mark, he's ever so slightly to the left. His front left wheel's on the grass, and locks the tyres, goes straight on. Unfortunate there for Stroll, but it is what it is. All right. He'll learn from his mistakes, hopefully not repeat them. Verstappen and Hamilton, we are so back, indeed we are. 4 years later, Verstappen and Hamilton, only half a second is the gap this time round. Okay, Lando purple. Indeed, he is purple. And oh my goodness me, he goes 3/10 of a second quicker in the first sector. Piastri still a 10th down in the first sector. He was 10th down in FP3, still a 10th down in Q1. We'll see if he can get that issue sorted out. George Russell on a flying lap across the line. Second place for him. 3/10 back from Max Verstappen. Good job there from Russell to start out. What can Kimi Antonelli do? He's been quite a ways back from Russell so far this weekend. Across the line he comes. He actually goes ahead of George Russell by half a tenth. Good improvement from Antonelli. I'm sure he's done some studying of the telemetry and he's found some more pace. Norris, however, top of the times by 3/10 of a second. No one else can compete. What can Oscar Piastri do? He looks to be getting close in the middle sector. The final sector was amazing, but the gap is still a tenth and a half for Oscar Piastri compared to his British teammate. All right. We've got Ollie Behrman, who is starting a second flying lap. Starting a flying lap now. Fernando Alonso across the line. 4th position for Fernando Alonso ahead of the Mercs. Fantastic pace there from Fernando. And the Aston Martins, I was a little bit skeptical of their pace before, but the fact that Alonso has just put in a lap that's quicker than both Mercedes inspires a whole lot of confidence. Isaac Hadjar across the line, 7th position for him. He's ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, and Liam Lawson has come across the line as 8th place for him. He's a 10th back from his teammate, but he is still ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Alex Albon has got a couple of purple mini sectors to his name. Sainz, his teammate, up into 11th position. What can Alex Albon do? Albon has a little bit of a better track record this season so far against Carlos Sainz. Here he comes. What can Alex Albon do across the line? Only 12th position. Oh my god. It looks like that final sector, his middle sector just wasn't that great, made a bit of a mistake and lost half a second to his teammate. But if Albon hadn't lost half a second in the middle sector, he would be up in 4th position. So Williams have got quite a bit of pace here as well, folks. So it's looking good. Quite a close quali. And yeah, I think the McLarens, they did have to increase their ride height. Their car was running a little bit too close to the ground. Gasly goes 3rd fastest in the middle sector. Some real good pace there from the Alpine. The Alpine seem to have loads of qualifying pace. Race pace, not so much. But here comes Pierre Gasly out of the final corner. And yeah, as suspected, the McLarens increased their ride height. Their pace has disappeared a little bit. They're no longer a second faster than everyone else, only 3/10 faster than everyone else. But regardless, that brings them within the reach of Max Verstappen. So we'll see what happens there. Gasly across the line splits the Mercs up into 6th position. Very nice. And Colapinto is in 16th position. Folks, I do also have to point out there's going to be a lot of track evolution here. So the drivers that set their laps right at the start, i.e. Yuki Tsunoda, who's the first driver to set a lap, he would have had the worst track conditions, and the circuit probably would have sped up by a tenth, maybe 2, maybe even 3 in the span of 10 minutes. So yeah, all of these lap times aren't 100% representative, similar to Charles Leclerc. Oh no, Leclerc's just crossed the line now, 14th position, 7 minutes left on the clock. He's got to get a move on, get back to the pits, fresh set of soft tyres and some refueling. Otherwise, he could be risking elimination. Lewis Hamilton dives into the pit lane, aborts his lap because he was not going to improve on that one. And Ferrari might, Ferrari have got some all right pace, but if they keep doing this stupid strategy of doing 2 laps on the same set of tyres, they might risk getting knocked out. Wind has also really picked up now, 17 kilometers per hour, and it is going to have a huge effect on downforce levels, and the drivers have to be very, very wary of this. And, one improperly timed gust could be the difference between you getting pole position and you spinning out. So they do have to be extremely, extremely careful. Stroll better get out there as well. Yeah, Stroll, I suspect what they're doing is they're repairing his floor. He will have damaged the floor and maybe a bit of the nose cone area as well. So we'll see what happens there. Liam Lawson barely staying within track limits. But yeah, all over the curbs there on the exit of turn number 3. Very, very close there for the Kiwi. And we've got some more replays here. And who's this? Is this Lewis Hamilton? Yes, it is. Touching a little bit of the gravel going through turns number 11 and 12. And that's, you don't really want to be kicking up gravel there on the entry to 12. You want to be well in the middle of the circuit on the entry to 12 so you can get a good run through it. So yeah, not ideal there from Lewis. 5 minutes left on the clock, all the drivers back in the pit lane, and I suspect everyone apart from the McLarens probably are going to be making their way out onto the circuit to do some more runs of the Zandvoort circuit. Okie dokes. Yeah. Norris has done some very good laps, though. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be ahead of. He's been quite comfortably ahead of Piastri actually on this on this Grand Prix. In all of the free practice sessions, hasn't really been under threat from Piastri at any point. Pretty consistently ahead of him, and we'll see what Piastri can do. Can he improve? He's got Mark Webber as a mentor, and his habit of improving is relentless. So we'll see what he can do. George Russell as well. He'll be looking to get ahead of Kimi Antonelli. He doesn't want to get outperformed by his rookie teammate who has never driven at this circuit before. George Russell, in fact, has scored a second place here in 2022 with the Mercedes team, but hasn't reached similar heights in the past couple of years at Zandvoort, so we'll see if he can pip his teammate and potentially find himself up in the top 5. Right. A little bit less traffic as well, I think. Some drivers going out earlier, the McLarens are going to go nice and early. It's not really an issue for them. They are going to be making it through into Q2 regardless. But yeah, the drivers that do need as much lap time as they can get their hands on, i.e. Franco Colapinto, i.e. Gabriel Bortoleto, they should probably be going right at the end of the session to try and maximise the track conditions. Of course, you do always run the risk of if the driver ahead of you causes a yellow flag, your lap gets aborted, you get knocked out. But, Formula One is a risk versus reward game. You've got to take risks sometime if you want to win. All right. How to tag someone? You just do @ and then you type their name. All right, 3 minutes left on the clock here, folks. Who is coming out onto the circuit here in Zandvoort? The outlaps are around 1 minute 50 seconds, 1 minute 40 seconds. So everyone else who is going to come out and do a lap should be coming out in the next minute or so. And the flying laps are 1 minute 10s. Well, unless you're a McLaren or Fernando Alonso or Max Verstappen, and in that case, you'll do it in a 1 minute 9. Okie dokes then. Stroll is still in the pits. He's got to get a move on. Time is ticking, otherwise he's going to be eliminated out of quali. Here we go then. Do you think Max can take pole? Well, let's keep an eye out on these top speeds. Max Verstappen, 328 kilometers per hour. That is not a particularly qualifying-oriented setup, is it, for Max Verstappen? In FP3, he was running a qualifying-oriented setup, but then his race runs looked horrendous. Like, the tyre wear that he had was terrible, and he would get so much understeer all of the time. It would just not be very beneficial for Max to use a quali setup right now, because his race car would be a boat. Piastri improves, actually goes a 10th quicker than Norris, and improves in the middle sector, mainly purple in the middle sector. He was already quicker than Norris in the third sector, and his first sector, where he was previously a 10th down for the whole free practice 1, 2, 3 and the first run of Q1, Piastri was always down at least a 10th in the first sector compared to Norris. He has fixed that mistake, and he's found some more lap time. Okay, Russell improves, and so does Verstappen, and they're now within 0.3 of the McLarens, and we've got some more flying laps coming through as well. Very nice, very nice. All right, that's it, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Lance Stroll has been eliminated. He is in the pit lane with 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock. That is it. He is not taking part in the rest of qualifying after damaging his car in his crash at turn number 13. Stroll is out. Some more flying laps are underway. Ollie Behrman comes across the line, doesn't improve actually. Ollie Behrman goes slower than his previous lap, and we're seeing quite a few yellow sectors here and there. Sainz, in fact, slower in the middle sector, but it's 8th position overall for Carlos Sainz. Charles Leclerc is improving as well. Fresh set of tyres for him. And we have got Albon up into 5th. Great job there from Albon. And Verstappen, I'd like to point out here, Russell and Verstappen, their lap time was pretty much identical, only 20 milliseconds between them. But Verstappen was on a used set of tyres, Russell a fresh set. So Red Bull does have the upper hand, or at least Verstappen has the upper hand on George Russell. All right, let's see. Alonso starts a flying lap. 14 seconds left on the clock. Nico Hulkenberg right at the end there. Nico Hulkenberg getting the best possible conditions. Hamilton now coming across the line, currently in 13th, up into 8th position. Good job there from Lewis Hamilton. Now here comes Charles Leclerc. What can Charles Leclerc do across the line? He goes 6 milliseconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Both of them pushing the Ferrari as far as it will go. And 8th and 9th position for Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Bortoletto up into 13th, still at risk of potentially being eliminated. We'll see what Tsunoda can do. He's had a good first sector so far, and so is Colapinto. Antonelli dives into the pits. He knows that he's going to make it through, so no need to complete the lap. Liam Lawson currently 15th position, up into 5th. Great lap there by Liam Lawson. And now here comes Esteban Ocon, currently in 19th position, up into 16th. That is it. Esteban Ocon has been eliminated out of Q1. Here comes Colapinto, 15th for him. Behrman into the pits. He's eliminated as well. Yuki Tsunoda currently in 19th. What can he do? 12th position, makes it out of the elimination zone. And now Nico Hulkenberg is the last driver left to come across the line, currently in 17th position, has a podium to his name in this season. Can he get it out of Q1? No, he cannot. Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Behrman and Stroll have been eliminated. Gabriel Bortoletto slips through into Q2 by half a tenth of a second, and Carlos Sainz as well makes it through, even though his previous lap wasn't so good. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that has been Q1. Q2 will be starting in 4 minutes' time. I'll just put up a timer up on the screen. But, yeah, I will, I've got some trivia questions prepared for you folks. So while we're waiting, be sure to ask me any questions or anything that you wanna ask me in the chat. I'll do my best to answer everything that I can. Q2 is starting in 4 minutes or... yeah, I think 4 minutes, I think. Oh, no, 5 minutes. There we go. Where's the timer? There we go. Okay. The whole field within a second. It is the whole field within a second, except it's slightly skewed because the McLarens were on used tyres. If the McLarens were on fresh tyres, I suspect the whole field would have been within 1.3 seconds or 1.4 seconds, 1.2. But regardless, it is still a very close field. And, this is the thing. Even here in 2025, we're complaining about McLaren domination. But on the grand scale of things in Formula 1, this is extraordinarily close for the gap from 1st to 20th. F1 Gamer, how close is the sea to the Zandvoort circuit? It is 200 meters away. Like, genuinely, if you go on Google Maps, the beach is right next to the Zandvoort circuit. So that's why the wind is so strong over here. Is there something stopping you from streaming on Twitch? Just my internet connection. It's just not good enough to stream to both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. Yeah. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Look forward to commentating for the race as well. The race is going to be absolutely mega here. Okay, first trivia question. In the 2023 Grand Prix, how many overtakes take place at the Dutch Grand Prix? Yeah, let me know what you think. Q1 incident, oh no, nothing, doesn't really matter. Some drivers just driving a little bit too slowly. There were 186 overtakes. I think the official number may be slightly lower, maybe 175, but everyone remembers the 186 overtakes that took place here. How many pit stops did Max Verstappen make in the 2023 Dutch Grand Prix when he went on to win the race? 186 overtakes. That's what we had in 2023 with mixed conditions. There was a bit of rain, there was a bit of this, there was a bit of that. And, well, what does the forecast say for tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen? Let me just pull it up there. As you can see, it's a raindrop there for Sunday, and it's around about the same thing, a 15 to 20 to 30% chance of rain. So, who knows what will happen? Max Verstappen did 7 pit stops. Yes, that is correct. 7 pit stops Max Verstappen did on his way to victory in 2023 at the Dutch Grand Prix. It was so much chaos, so many pitting from slicks to inters to slicks, back to inters to another set of inters. Total chaos. Okay. All right then, folks, now it's time to cast our minds to the current qualifying session ahead of us. Do you think that we are going to see a do you think is it going to be a McLaren 1-2 in qualifying, or are we going to see maybe Russell, maybe Verstappen screw up the ideal McLaren positions, and one of them are going to stick it on the front row? Let me know what you think. Will Verstappen be able to do something? Will Liam Lawson be able to do something? A really good lap from him as well, to put himself up into 5th position, of course, with slightly better track conditions than when Russell and Verstappen set their laps. But Verstappen had a used set of tyres. Lawson was on a fresh set. So maybe we'll get Alonso P3, maybe we won't, but Aston Martins have got some serious pace. As well, I say Aston Martin, I say Fernando Alonso has got a lot of pace. But the track has been declared clear, and Q2, as you can see there on the bottom right of the screen, is starting in 1 minute and 30 seconds time. Oh, also, the lap record around the circuit, a 1:08.885. So what lap do you, what lap time do you think we're going to get for the pole time? Which driver and what pole time is it going to be? I'm predicting that we're going to get a 1.7, a 1 minute 7.9 something. That's my prediction. A 1 minute 7 seems reasonable. I guess let's see. Okay. How many softs do the Ferraris have? I think Ferraris have all of the teams have enough softs to make it through into Q3 and do enough runs. So it's not really an issue. I'm saying Hamilton in the top 5, betting my friend's life on it. Well, Hamilton top 5 might be a bit of a stretch, considering that Pierre Gasly was up in 8th position in Q1 and Hamilton was in 9th. But we shall see. Track temperature. Also, I'd like to point this out, folks, here. Track temperature is up to 34 degrees. This is the hottest it has been all weekend long. It has been notoriously cold here, in fact, in Zandvoort for the majority of this weekend. And it has now suddenly got hot. The sun is shining. And that means the grip levels, downforce levels have ever so slightly changed. You know, as the tyres warm up, it sort of shifts the balance a little bit to the rear, I think. I forgot, but basically it shifts your grip levels, and that could be messing with some of the drivers as they try to push the cars all the way to the limit. But the timer has hit 0, Q2 has begun, and Charles Leclerc is the first driver out onto the pit lane. Alright, F1 Gamer, what are the chances of rain tomorrow? Well, folks, let me get the forecast up. Let me just search up right now the most up-to-date forecast for Zandvoort. There is a 35% chance of rain at 4 a.m. And 20% chance of rain for the majority of the morning. And then the race starts at 1 p.m. local time, I think. And at that point, it's 10% chance of rain. So I suspect it's going to be wet conditions, wet track to start off with, and then... Oh no, the race starts at 3 p.m. local time. So 20% chance of rain. You know, it's fairly slim, but there was 20% chance of rain earlier today, and we did have rain. So I guess we shall see. What we need to do, we've got 15,000 people watching the stream. We need a rain dance. That's what we need. So if everyone could do a rain dance, that would be fantastic. And then we'll get some rain falling on the streets of Zandvoort. Alrighty then, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, the only drivers out on the circuit. I don't know what they're doing, but they are out on a used set of tyres, so they're just getting to feel with these grip conditions. And the thing is, Zandvoort's a pretty short circuit here, so you do have a 15-minute long Q2 session, but really, to do 2 runs, you only really need 12 minutes, and maybe even 10, so you can get away with just sitting in the pit lane for a while and then going out on a fresh set later on. Alright, also folks, we are not too far away from our subscriber target. If you can see there, bottom left of the screen, we are 443 subscribers away, 441 subscribers away now. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Hopefully we can hit 190k today. That'd be fantastic, and that'll put us 10k away from the fabled 200k. But none of that matters, because Charles Leclerc is on a flying lap now. Here he makes his way through turn number 5, 6 and 7. The pace from that Ferrari is incredible. It really does look glued to the ground. However, it just isn't that quick. Oh, there's a lot of scratching of the floor there. I don't know if Ferrari have set the car up too low. That is exactly what they did in Hungary, and that's what caused Charles Leclerc to have all of those issues. So Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they haven't made that mistake again. But it is Ferrari after all. You make your way towards turn number 11 and 12. Super late on the brakes is Charles Leclerc. Round 12 he goes. Nice exit in towards turn number 13, and yeah, just smoothly onto the power, round the banking, opens the DRS and activates the overtake button. Well, actually they didn't really press the overtake button in quali, but across the line he comes, and it is a 1.10, a 1 minute 10.0. What can his teammate Lewis Hamilton do? Hamilton's slower in the first sector, quicker in the middle sector, and is slower in the final sector, and he is a 10th back from Charles Leclerc. Very nice lap from the both of them, but a lot more work needs to be done on that Ferrari car for it to compete up at the top. F1 Gamer, my question for you of the day is, when is the legendary race, the Hockenheim Ring? That was 2019. 2020. No, 2019 German Grand Prix. Seb Vettel went from 20th to 20th to 2nd, 20th to 20. That clearly. Haven't had enough sleep, have I? All right. Anyway, so here we go then. George Russell is out. He's also out on a used set of tyres. Interesting. Verstappen is out on a fresh set. Russell used a fresh set of tyres at the end of Q1, and Verstappen used a used set at that point, so now they've just switched around. Russell on the used set, Verstappen on the fresh set. Lawson's out on a fresh set. Antonelli's out on a fresh set. Gasly's used tyres. Tsunoda fresh. Sainz fresh, and the McLaren still in the pits. Okay. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get some more qualifying laps coming in. Oh my goodness me. Wind is up to 20 kilometers per hour, and it's gusting even faster than this. So, you know, the general speed of the wind is 20 kilometers per hour. Sometimes it jumps up to 25 kilometers per hour. Sometimes it jumps up to 30, so who knows? Can we stop blaming the drivers now? It's clearly the car for the red team. Yeah, well, you know, the Ferrari accelerates from 0 to 200 miles per hour in about 4 business days, and it'll take a corner. Well, will it take a corner? I don't know. But you know, the Ferrari car not so good this season, and I think they've switched off development really, and they've basically started focusing on 2026. And thank you for the donation as well. We've just had 2 donations come through. Mal, thanks for the $5 donation. And did you also send another one? Oh, you sent 2 of the same donation. Apologies for missing the first one, and thank you very much for the donation, buddy. Okay. You know, Hamilton's performances have improved. You know, he's not that far back from Charles Leclerc. You know, let's say at Spa, when he did get knocked out of Q1, both times in sprint quali and in the sprint race, that wasn't ideal. But now that his pace is within 10th of Leclerc, you can't really fault the guy. It's a Ferrari issue, really. Max Verstappen purple in the first sector, very nicely done. Let's see what he can do. In fact, he goes quicker than Norris's first sector. Verstappen has had a look at the GPS traces and whatever the McLarens are doing, because Verstappen has gone quicker than Norris in the first sector, which Norris was super good at. That was the one thing that stood out. He would gain half a second in the first sector in FP3. Verstappen has found out whatever trick he's using, whatever line it is, and is exploiting that to maximum benefit. Piastri and Norris are out on fresh sets of soft as well, so we'll see if they can improve. Max Verstappen, purple in all 3 sectors, and his lap is a 1:09.112. That beats last year's pole time, and now we'll see what the McLaren boys can do. Antonelli still ahead of George Russell. Antonelli has never driven at this circuit before, but still he's beating George Russell. His rate of improvement is looking pretty good, actually. I take back maybe partially what I said earlier. Tsunoda up into 3rd, he's half a second back from Max Verstappen. Still some work to do for him, but it's not too shabby, to say the least. Norris does go purple in the first sector. He still manages to get a 10th and a half up on Max Verstappen, so still some pace there left in the McLaren for Norris to extract, and Norris is extracting it very, very well. Piastri is about to start his flying lap, going out of turn number 13. Fernando Alonso also starting his flying lap, same thing for Carl. Oh no, Sainz is actually finishing his flying lap. Here he comes across the line, 6th place for Sainz, and he is half a 10th back from Liam Lawson. Okie dokes, in the middle sector, Norris actually a couple milliseconds slower than Max, so a very, very nice job there from Max in the middle sector. Let's see what Norris can do in the final sector now. Oh my god, look at this, it's all purple, everything. Okay, well, as I say that, it doesn't go purple, but Oh my god, a quarter of a second, great lap there from Norris. And yeah, whatever he did in that final sector, extraordinary. And top speeds reaching pretty quick top speeds there. Piastri also 329 Ks through the speed traps. Isn't the fastest out of everyone, but is looking particularly racy, isn't he? Lap record as well, actually. Yeah, that beats the lap record by a couple milliseconds. Really good job there by Lando Norris. Hadjar's in third position. What? Piastri goes purple in the middle sector, beats Verstappen and Norris. Brilliant job there. Now he's got to hook up the final sector. Norris had an astonishing final sector. Here comes Piastri at a turn number 13. He may get an ever so slightly small toe from Lawson. Here he comes across the line. What can Piastri do? It is second position. He is still a tenth off the back of Lando Norris. Still some more work to do. Still some more improvements to be had for the Australian driver. And that purple middle sector, Hamilton's gone purple in the middle sector. How has he done that? He's got a toe, I think, off Lando Norris down the back straight. That most certainly will have helped Hamilton, but a really good middle sector, incredible commitment in that Ferrari, which he was spinning about in free practice 1 and 2. The commitment is back, the confidence is back. Hamilton, fourth position, he is 4 tenths off the back of Lando Norris. Not too shabby to say the least, and the red car isn't so slow after all, and the Mercedes have got some work to do, actually. Yeah, Russell was on a used set of tyres, so we'll see what he can do on a fresh set, but only 6 minutes left on the clock now, folks. Here we go. This is turning out to be pretty exciting. Who would have thought, after Lando Norris was 8 tenths of a second quicker than his closest competition from any other team in FP3, that we are getting such an exciting qualifying session. Pretty good going, shall we say? Okay. Not too shabby, and a lap record there for Lando Norris. I suspect that, though, that might be broken. Going into Q3, the circuit getting a little bit more rubbered in as we go. Yeah, should be good. Right, I'm going to have a quick sip of water because I'm talking louder and louder. My throat is going to start hurting very, very soon. But folks, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Really does help out the channel. And we are about to get underway for, well, the final runs of Q2. And then we'll be getting underway for the top 10 shootout very, very shortly. But Hamilton's back. Charles Leclerc's back. Ferrari is back. Wait, let me get the meme up. Where's the meme? This is not the meme. Where is it? Where's the meme? It's this one. Yeah. It's the Ferrari cycle, ladies and gentlemen. The Ferrari cycle. We're back. But yeah. All right, I'm gonna have a sip of water. All right. Yeah, tomorrow it'll probably be over, but for now, for now they're back, so don't worry about it. Okie dokes. 4 minutes left on the clock. Everyone's sat in the pit lane. As I said earlier, it takes 1 minute and 50 seconds to do an outlap around here in Zandvoort. So once the drivers do leave the pits, they just need 2 minutes left on the clock, and there'll be more than sufficient time for them to do a flying lap. So yeah, we'll be waiting around for the next 60 seconds or so before everyone makes their way back out onto the circuit. All right. Let's see. What else have we got to talk about? Wind is strong as ever. The track is still as warm as we saw. Quickest top speed, Tsunoda 332, Hamilton 331 there as well, Alonso 331, but all the top speeds are pretty close to each other now. Like, the quickest one was, we thought, 332 from Tsunoda, and we go down into 11th, 12th, 13th position, and it's 329. So at the max, it's 3, 4, 5 kilometers per hour difference. Not the biggest difference in the world. And you can still see there, though, Lando Norris, 17th in the speed trap, right at the back. He's running the most downforce all of these drivers by the looks of it. I think Behrman may be running ever so slightly more, but Lando Norris running quite a lot more downforce, which, may be good for now, but let's just imagine race day. Norris gets pole position, and Piastri will have a quicker car down the straight. He will also have DRS. Surely that's going to make an overtake very, very easy. So I guess Norris will have to think about that, how to defend tomorrow, because he has got a car with slightly less top speed than the rest of them, and they're all running reasonably high downforce levels regardless. Okay. Here we go then, folks. Drivers making their way out onto the circuit. Lando Norris, first car to start his flying lap. He is also out on a used set of tyres. So I'll just point out who's out on used sets. Norris is out on a used set, so is Verstappen, and everyone else that is currently out on the circuit is out on a fresh set of tyres. Okay, here we go. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, if you guys are interested in watching Formula 1, you can get it using the Surfshark VPN. The link is in the description. You pay $2 a month for Surfshark VPN. You join an Austrian VPN server, you search ORF, and then you can watch Formula 1. Or you join a Swiss VPN server and you search SRF, and you can watch Formula 1. So it's up to you guys. If you're interested, check it out. I'm using it right now. There's about 500 or so people using it on the channel right now. So definitely does work. And if it doesn't work, you can always get a refund. The commentary is in German, though, so you've got to mute it, listen to me instead. But regardless, you got to watch the cars go around the track. And George Russell, in fact, not even George Russell, a lot of the cars are scraping quite heavily going through turn number 7. There's a bit of a bump in the road. It's sort of the cars all sort of bottom out there because you're sort of going downhill as well, which lends itself to bottoming out a little bit. So yeah, not the end of the world there for Ferrari or Russell. Nobody's really running the car too low at this point. McLaren were running the car too low because they were bottoming out at turn number 1 during FP3. They've now raised their ride height and their pace is more in line with what we sort of expect. Alright, the red marks the sector lines, yes. Oh, Sainz quickest through the speed traps, actually. Sainz has just leapfrogged himself up to the quickest through the speed trap, so must have got a toe off someone there. Alright, George Russell improves, 6th place for him, Antonelli 7th place, but they're still both firmly back from the Ferraris. Ferraris did their lap on fresh tyres, Russell and Antonelli both did their laps on fresh tyres, and they are 6th and 7th, so Mercedes slower than the Ferraris. What happened to Stroll? Stroll crashed at turn number 13, they couldn't repair the car in time, so unfortunate for him. Albon, look at this. Albon's actually doing quite well as well. The Williams looking nice. Some solid performance there so far. Here he comes across the first sector line. Unfortunately, yellow. Not what we were looking for. Yuki Tsunoda did not improve. Yes, actually he didn't. Correct. That is correct. Tsunoda, it goes 10 milliseconds slower, so that's it for him. 30 seconds left on the clock, and we'll see how he fares. Does he make it through into Q3? Sainz improves up into 7th, Tsunoda down into 10th. That is on the brink of elimination. We have got a couple more drivers to start their flying lap. Alonso with 13 seconds left on the clock. He is going right at the end. Time to perfection for Fernando Alonso. Gets it going same thing for, Hadjar's completing his flying lap now. Across the line, 7th place for Hadjar. Nicely done. All right, checkered flag is waving. Here comes Alex Albon. Yellow in all 3 sectors, unable to improve, 0.3 slower, and that is him knocked out of Q2. All right, Gasly also does not improve. That's him knocked out. We'll see what Fernando Alonso can do. His first sector's yellow. His middle sector looks ever so slightly better. And here comes Bortoleto as well. Across the line for Bortoleto. 11th, unfortunately. So the only person that can knock out Yuki Tsunoda either is Liam Lawson or it's Fernando Alonso. Let's see which one of the two can do it. Up at the top, though, nobody's really improving that much. The Ferraris come into the pits after doing 1 lap on soft tyres. I don't know why they really sent them out. But here comes Alonso and here comes Liam Lawson. Tsunoda is on the brink of elimination. In fact, Tsunoda and Bortoleto set the exact same lap time. I just missed that, but it doesn't matter regardless because Lawson up into 7th position gets ahead of Hadjar. Tsunoda and Bortoleto both eliminated. Fernando Alonso up into 7th, and Antonelli gets the boot as well. 11th position for Kimi Antonelli. He has been eliminated, and Alonso up into 7th position. Ooh, yes, Tsunoda and Bortoleto set the exact same lap time, but they both get eliminated, and Albon out, Gasly out, and Sainz, Antonelli out as well. Sainz makes it through by the skin of his teeth. 20 milliseconds was the gap between Sainz and Antonelli, and Sainz just makes it through by the finest of margins. Oh, Fernando Alonso, let's go. Alonso has no new softs left now. I think he still does. I don't count out Fernando Alonso. I think the Aston Martin team have got it under control. And anyway, you get 1 fresh set of soft tyres gifted by Pirelli when you make it through into Q3. Oh, Albon comes over the radio. You've got to be effing kidding me. Oh my God, no tyres at all. And then he says, why do we do it to ourselves? Oh, so it looks like the tyre warm-up procedure. This is the thing. Williams does this quite often, actually. They'll do a sort of tyre warm-up procedure for the majority of the weekend. And then for whatever reason, when it counts during qualifying, they'll just decide to change it. And Albon starts his flying lap with tyres that just are not warm. And he gets eliminated. Very, very unfortunate for Alex Albon. And yeah, Carlos Sainz maybe used a different warm-up strategy. Maybe he did it a little bit better, I'm not sure, but yeah, Albon gets eliminated, Sainz barely makes it through. How much more time for Q3, folks? Q3 starts in 5 minutes time. I shall put the timer up on the screen. Give me just a second. There we go. All right. Q3 is there, 5 minutes and 2 seconds, and we'll be getting underway for Q3. Fantastic. Max improved. Did Max improve? Maybe he did, actually. I can't remember his exact lap time. But regardless, Q3 starting in 5 minutes' time, and we'll get the top 10 shootout. We've got both McLarens, both Ferraris, both Racing Bulls, not both Red Bulls, though. Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, and Carlos Sainz. And George Russell as well. Both Mercedes don't make it through, of course, this weekend. F1 Gamer, I'm watching F1 TV, pro English commentary. Should I mute you and listen to you? Well, it's up to you, I know a lot of people do actually mute Sky Sports or F1 TV and listen to me instead. But yeah, I'll take it as a compliment. Thank you very much. And yeah, we'll be getting underway in 5 minutes' time. Also, another thing, folks, I have released merch. If you guys are interested, go ahead and check it out. These are all the different designs. I haven't done, all the designs aren't here. Go check it out on the website. It's slipstream.clothing. There's a link in the description, I think, or if it's not, it's www.slipstream.clothing. But yeah, I think these are quite nice. And they're all on discount, and they're on discount until the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and they're as cheap as I could get them pretty much. So if you're interested, check them out. All right, but that is the end of that. No more sponsorships, no more plugs. Just hit the like button, hit subscribe. Hopefully you can hit 190k, and now it's going to be pure out-and-out commentary right till the end of Q3 because, well, I suspect a battle brewing here. Norris versus Piastri is going to be interesting. Piastri did get a hang of Norris's first sector. That was the one thing that was holding him back. Norris had some astonishingly special first sector every single lap. Piastri couldn't really compete, but now he's been able to do that. He's been able to close up that first sector. Now he's just got to hook up the final sector, and they'll be in level playing field. All right. Here we go then. How many sets of soft does each driver get? They request them from Pirelli, so it depends on whatever the teams want. But once you make it through into Q3, Pirelli will give you a set of soft tyres to use in Q3. So don't worry, even if your favourite drivers made it through into Q3, they will have at least one fresh set to use. Okay. And the data will update shortly for Q3 as we're very shortly about to get underway. What? All right, what else have we got to talk about then? Well, look at this gap as well. It's extremely close. 6/10 between first and 10th position. Very, very close competition. Of course, the McLarens did set their second laps on used tyres, but with a fresh set, they're not going to be, they'll be about a tenth or so quicker. Regardless, very, very close competition up in the top 10. What about Mercedes next year? Isn't there a 50-50 power unit? Yeah, the 50-50 power unit should be fine. Mercedes are fine with it. A lot of the teams aren't particularly happy, but, they know how to make an engine, and they'll make an engine work. So it should be all right. Aldo de Groot, thanks for your commentary. So much better than Sky Sports, mate. Well, thank you very much. Hope you're all enjoying it. I do my best to provide you guys with the best commentary, and I think I've said and so and like a little bit less than I typically do for this commentary. It's this stream itself, so I would quite happy about that. This is a style of commentating in the future involving the spectators. Yeah, maybe. Where do you think Cadillac's performance will be next year? I don't think Cadillac will be too far behind because Cadillac are using the Ferrari power unit. You've got to remember that. They aren't designing their own engine for 2026. So they'll be using the Ferrari power unit, which will never be that far off. And they'll have two really competent drivers in the form of Bottas and Perez, which is fantastic for them. And yeah, so I think they should be doing pretty well. Maybe, 8th position. I don't expect them to be right at the back of the pack, but we shall see. It's difficult to say. They could come up with a really innovative solution to some technical problem, right? The rules could say one thing, and then Cadillac, because they're all coming from all walks of life and not just Formula One, they're coming from loads of different motorsports. They could think of something innovative that the other teams haven't thought of. And because the other teams haven't thought of it, they could find a loophole and they could be fastest out of all of them. Who knows? It's like if, when you go to the airport and it's like, oh, you're not allowed liquids over 100 ml. Well, technically, if you brought a frozen bottle, like a frozen bottle of water, that's technically not a liquid. So it should be allowed through the regulations. If Cadillac comes up with one of those sort of loopholes, then they could be right up there. But so could any team, really. So I guess we shall see. All right, so here we are then. Qualifying 3 starts in 6 seconds time. 12 minutes of qualifying. We'll have the first runs getting out very, very shortly. The green light is there at the end of the pit lane. Very, very nice. Let's get rid of this timer. And let's have a look at these sector times here. So the quickest first sector time that we have seen for the entire weekend so far, Lando Norris in the first sector, 23.474. Lewis Hamilton at 24.4 in the middle sector, and in the final sector, the quickest has been Norris again, 20.8. So let's see now. Everyone looks to be coming out on at least fresh sets. Sainz is out on a used set of tyres, actually. Sainz wasn't expecting, I'm guessing, to make it through into Q3, so he's going to use his fresh set at the end. For now, he's going to go out on a used set of tyres. And we'll keep our eyes peeled for the other drivers coming out. But Russell's out on a fresh set as well. Piastri's out there up at the front in the clear. He'll be doing his warm-up procedure. Same thing for Norris. They'll be doing everything as perfect as they possibly can to, well, hopefully get pole position. Like how Braun GP did something in 2009 by bringing in the double diffuser, something like that. Yeah, exactly. That's sort of what I mean. Okay. Hulkenberg is misspelled in your merch. I made a Gothenburg t-shirt, and then I also made a Hulkenberg one. So I'll double check if I spelled it correctly, but I would have hoped that I spelled Nico Hulkenberg's name right. Okay. Here we go then, folks. Let me know in the chat, what lap time are you predicting here from Oscar Piastri? Here he is, starting his flying lap. What can the Aussie man do? He is absolutely flying in that first sector, he is Oscar Piastri. Look at this, purple. But that's getting taken away by Lando Norris. Lando Norris seems to know some tricks that Piastri doesn't, Let's see. Oh, in the first half of the first sector, Norris has the upper hand. In the second half of the first sector, Piastri has the upper hand. It is so close between these two drivers. Look at this gap, ladies and gentlemen. It is, 7-10 milliseconds, something like that, between the two in just the first sector alone. And now we'll see what they can do in the middle sector. The McLarens are pushing like crazy, though, and this is just the first laps of Q3. They're going to be breaking... They've already broken the lap record as Lando Norris. He's going to try and do it again. And Piastri might even get a little toe off Hadjar. I think he's a little bit too far away, actually. But every little helps, shall we say. Piastri across the line. It is a 1.8662, ever so slightly quicker than Lando Norris's lap in Q2. Now, let's see what the British driver can do. He's currently second in the championship. He needs some more points on his teammate to do it. And he's 12 milliseconds back. So close. Oh, my God. Yeah, there's no way that there's no way that you can predict who's getting pole position here. Fernando Alonso's got a couple of purple mini sectors to his name. Is Fernando Alonso going to be a surprise out of nowhere? Max Verstappen, this is Isaac Hadjar. Hamilton, a purple mini sector there. Russell across the line, that is third place for George Russell. And here comes Carlos Sainz on a used set of tyres, might I point out. Sainz on a used set, so's Alonso, so's Lawson, so's Hadjar. They're all out on used set tyres. Verstappen comes out nice and late, actually. So Verstappen doing his lap with as best possible track conditions as he can. And Alonso 1.2 seconds back from Piastri. Of course, a used set of tyres, so maybe with a fresh set, that gap can be reduced down to 9 or 8 tenths. F1 Gamer, is your mic louder? Yeah, it's ever so slightly louder. I've modified some settings. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna have a sip of water. Charles Leclerc, fresh set. Oh no, you set of tires. Fourth and fifth position for the Ferraris. Hamilton up in fourth, for Leclerc in fifth. There's 10 milliseconds between these two drivers. Hamilton is well and truly back, ladies and gentlemen. He is well and truly back because, well, here he is fighting against Charles Leclerc, isn't he? Great job. But Max Verstappen, the Flying Dutchman at his home Grand Prix, he has got a few purple mini sectors to his name, but look at this gap. He, a 23.6 in the first sector. Piastri did a 23.3, so a lot of improvement left to go for Max Verstappen. What can he do in the final sector? Can he pull out something absolutely magical? He's got no one ahead of him ready to give him a tow. Alonso's diving into the pit lane by the looks of it, and across the line comes Max Verstappen. It is third position, 4 tenths back. Wow. 4 tenths back. That is a huge gap that the McLarens have. And this was Verstappen on a fresh set of tyres, you know. Ferrari were on 1 lap old tyres because they did an out lap and then an in lap immediately in Q2. So maybe ever so slightly better tyres they'll have for the next runs. But they're, 8 tenths off? George Russell is 6 tenths off. It's a straight fight between the two McLarens. Who is it going to be? Oh, I don't know. This is too close to call. Too close to call, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea who's getting pole position. Ferrari isn't going to go into the It's So Over phase. Well, they're back. Hamilton isn't performing terribly anymore, but yeah, their pace is just so far off the McLarens. Everyone's pace is so far off the McLarens. Honestly, they've done some incredible development work because, this sort of huge leaps and strides in performance that we're seeing from the McLaren team, this is what we sort of expect at the start of a regulation. Say in 2022, you expect these huge increases in performance because the regulations are new. But with mature regulations, for 4 years, you've had thousands of engineers working at this problem to try and make the cars go as quickly as possible. And suddenly McLaren, in the last couple of months, have managed to improve their car by incredible amounts. All right. Well, let's see then, folks. 5 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. We're going to still have to wait around a little bit for the drivers to come out for their final runs. In fact, I'm going to do a poll. Who is getting pole position? Is it Max? Well, not is it Max. It's going to be, is it Piastri or is it Norris? Let's see what you guys think. That face reveal's coming soon. Well, we're not too far away from 190k subs, so once we hit 200, the webcam will be turned on. I don't know for how long. Maybe I'll keep it on for the stream. Maybe I'll do it for every stream. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see how it goes. All right. 22,000 people watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. And yeah, we are getting underway for what might turn out to be a very important qualifying session. With only 10 races left to go this season, every single point counts. Let's have a quick look at the Drivers' Championship here. Oscar Piastri, 84 points. Lando Norris, 275 points. Both of them have got 12 podiums to their name. Piastri has got 6 wins. Norris has got 5. And, well, as we know, qualifying very important around here in Zandvoort. It's pretty difficult to overtake, even though the race holds the overtake record of 186 overtakes in a single race. It's notoriously tough. And, well, what's going to happen? Is it going to be Piastri that comes out on top? Is he going to get this pole position? Is he going to snatch it away from Lando Norris? Norris has been looking good for all of the sessions, FP1, 2, 3, Q1, Q2, but when it matters, that's when he needs to deliver. And, the McLaren drivers, both of them, have a little bit of a habit of not delivering right up to the top of their game under pressure. They'll deliver 95%, 97% of what is required of them. But the top extra little bit that you need to get pole position is Well, sometimes they deliver, sometimes they don't. A little bit unreliable. But Charles Leclerc first out. Oh, actually, no, not. The McLaren's first out. Lando Norris is first out. Then it's Piastri. Then we've got Charles Leclerc. So they're going out right at the front here, folks. Right at the start. 3 minutes left on the clock. They're going to do their warm-up procedure. And we're going to see who is getting pole position. How does the strong wind affect things? The strong wind will just add downforce when you've got a headwind. So the wind is blowing from the southern direction right now. So the direction has changed ever so slightly. It's now blowing directly upwards, which means that the drivers will have a bit more of a headwind here, so more downforce here, tailwind on the left side. Oh, and I'll take you through a lap of the circuit as well. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'll sync up my lap with Lando Norris starting his flying lap, actually. So let's... actually, I could put this over here, couldn't I? All right, let's sync this up. So... And then I can sort of commentate while we're going and seeing what the drivers are doing. So let's just go to the start-finish line. Start-finish line is there. Okay. So we'll get that synced up. And we'll get underway for some qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes Lando Norris out of the final corner. This is it. This is when it matters. Every single lap matters from now on. Here comes Lando Norris into turn number 1. George Russell gets out of the way nicely, very deep into turn 1, carries so much speed through 1. Now over the crest of 2, he's got a bit of wind to help him out. Alonso gets out of the way, and then round the outside he goes for turn number 3. Great line over the curbs, but not losing too much time. Now 5, 6, and 7 for Lando Norris. That McLaren looks exceptionally planted. Little lift and flicks the car to the right. It stays well under control, and now he goes through turns number 8 and 9. Really good job. They're very difficult to keep the car from locking up, but Norris is doing a fantastic job. Then you go through turn number 10, late apex onto the power as early as you possibly can. Piastri is purple in the first sector. Norris doesn't improve, but Norris goes purple in the second sector. It's anybody's game. Who is going to be getting pole position? Norris now comes through turn number 12 in towards turn number 13. This is the one corner he needs to get absolutely perfect, and it looks like he's done so. The car squirms ever so slightly under traction, but he's onto the power, and across the line he does not beat Oscar Piastri. He does not improve, and Lando Norris is in second place by default. Oscar Piastri, can he improve his lap time? Yes, he can. Oh, actually he doesn't. Piastri also doesn't improve. Both drivers don't improve their lap times. What has happened here? Alonso starts his flying lap. Absolute pandemonium. Both drivers don't improve. What chaos was this? Sainz up into 4th position. Alonso going right at the end with the best possible track conditions. But ladies and gentlemen, don't count out the Ferraris. We see a few purple mini sectors here. The Ferraris could be in for a front row start if things go absolutely perfectly for them. Leclerc 5th position for Max Verstappen gets a nice little toe off Leclerc as well going into turn number 1. Verstappen has got some purple sectors here. This could be it. The Flying Dutchman could ruin the McLaren party. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. It's 6th position for him, but now all eyes are on Max Verstappen. He is the last driver to come across the line. He has got the best possible track conditions. What can he do? Here comes Liam Lawson. He is the Kiwi from down under, 10th position as of right now. Across the line, it is 7th for him. Great job. Fernando Alonso, the rookie. He's got so much pace out of nowhere. The Aston Martin looking incredible. Can he stick it in the top 5? Across the line he goes. Unfortunately, 9th just for him. Here comes George Russell. He's currently in 4th position, and he unfortunately cannot improve. Max goes purple in the middle sector. It's not over just yet, and let's see, he's got one corner left to go. Turn number 13. Can he navigate this one? Isaac Hadjar's up in 4th position. He beats Russell. He beats Leclerc. He beats Hamilton. Incredible. And Max Verstappen improves. Not enough to get up onto the front row, but it is a McLaren 1-2. Max Verstappen in 3rd position and Isaac Hadjar in 4th. Isaac Hadjar in the Racing Bull. Take a bow. You have got my Rookie of the Year award. What a performance from him. George Russell in 5th position, Leclerc in 6th, Hamilton in 7th, Lawson 8th, Sainz 9th, and Alonso 10th. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to remind you the Dutch Grand Prix has got the record for the most overtakes that have ever happened on a Formula One race. 186 overtakes to be exact. And tomorrow it is also forecast to rain. So I want to see every one of you, all 25,000 that have just tuned in now for the race tomorrow. It's going to be incredible. McLarens do have the pace, but when the rain arrives, who knows what will happen, especially when it's in the Flying Dutchman's home circuit. All right, Oscar Piastri is on pole position. Sensational lap from him. Beats his teammate by 12 milliseconds. The points gap between himself and his teammate is 9 points, and he is doing his best to extend that out. Simply lovely from the man down under, the man from Melbourne. Lando Norris, a little bit more work to do. 12 milliseconds. A little gust of wind could have changed tides of who gets pole position, who doesn't. But unfortunately, things haven't gone his way, and he is in second place. All right. Yeah. All right then. That is qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. Here in Zandvoort. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. Hope you all have enjoyed the coverage. Tomorrow's race is going to be mega. So what I'm going to do now is going to end the stream. We'll take you over to the Dutch Grand Prix stream, and be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe, and be sure to hit the reminder button as well. Those three things really help out the YouTube algorithm, and it'd be great to see you all there for the next for the race tomorrow. It's going to be simply lovely. Yeah, that is all from me. It's been, I'll get merch done for Isaac Hadjar, I'll get merch done for all of the drivers, but thank you everyone for tuning in. If you're interested in the merch, it's slipstream.clothing or www.slipstream.clothing. Yeah, it's have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening or night, and I shall see you for the race tomorrow, and a mega race tomorrow. Alright, bye-bye.